Hi everyone, it's your favorite atomic blonde here. Woohoo! Yeah, so as I said, a couple of crazy weekends. Last weekend I was away for a wedding. This weekend I had friends staying. But as it's a bank holiday here in the UK, I thought I'd squeeze in a little bit of Monday bank holiday brunch for you because, hey, I've missed you guys. So, usual formats. What have I been watching? What's going out there in the pop culture world? The usual kind of bonkersness. Another week, another Disney failure. Kind of getting bored of talking about Disney, to be fair, but it's I guess it's news, sort of, in our little sphere of the world. So, as always, let's crack on. Let's see if I can get the right layout. Yes, cool. So, yeah, I was asked by a colleague, a fellow YouTuber, are we going to be watching Ashoka? Do we want to talk about it? And I think it's pretty much a resounding no, not really. I did say I will watch the first episode and go from there. Oh, my days. I wish I hadn't bothered. I think most people who know this channel know, I love Star Wars. I'm that generation. I saw it at the cinema. It's like one of my first memories is being taken to see Star Wars at the Dominion Theatre in London. And it blew my tiny, tiny little mind at 3-4 years old, wherever I was. I liked Revenge of the Sith. The first two, bit iffy, but I really enjoyed Revenge of the Sith. Sequels, well, yeah. Less said about them, the better, huh? So, obviously, we've had a mixed bag. So, when Mandalorian came out, I didn't have Disney Plus at the time. I wasn't that bothered with getting Disney Plus. I'm very much, the Marvel films I like and enjoy and I want to rewatch. I've already got on Blu-ray, DVD, whatever. Same with all the Star Wars films. The ones I want to watch, I already own. What's the point of really getting Disney Plus? I think last year or the year before, I bought a new iPad. And through the subscription on that, or the SIM on that, I basically got Disney Plus for free. So while I had that, I checked out Mandalorian. And it was okay. Season 1 was quite good. Fairly, a bit inconsistent. Season 2, definitely not as good as Season 1. And Season 3, I didn't even finish. And I think that's really been and then after that, everything just went off a cliff. I mean, Boba Fett was dire, apart from the 2 Mandalorian episodes. I'm even struggling to think what came after that. Kenobi was just shocking, absolutely shocking. And it's just the same story over and over again. So Ahsoka didn't have high expectations. I think the original trailers that came out a while back, it looked okay. And then the most recent trailers, we just like, oh God, it's just Girl Boss City. And that's what it is, I must admit, I haven't watched the Clone Wars. I haven't watched Rebels. I started watching the Clone Wars a little while ago, but I couldn't really get into it. I wasn't really that bothered. So a lot of these characters, I don't know who they are. I don't really care. They're not compelling. They're not interesting in this version of Ahsoka. I have heard good things about Clone Wars. I know they are much more rounded characters in that, and that's fair enough. But I think that the biggest complaint, which is the same one I had for Andor, is it's just bloody boring. It's just lots of walking around, staring, looking constipated. The Bull MacGuffin map thing, we're like, oh great, another map storyline. We haven't seen that before. For a la Force Awakens, this time to find a bad guy rather than a good guy. But the lightsaber battles are farcical. Again, we've seen a woman, rammed through the stomach with a lightsaber, and she's just got a bit of a small, perfectly circle little hole, little scar, but she's completely fine. These used to be like lethal weapons. Poor old Qui-Gon. is spinning in the Jedi afterlife, because everybody just like seems to be fine now. If you get eviscerated with a lightsaber, they're not really that dangerous anymore. It's just a bit of an inconvenience. You have to take a couple of hours off, you know. Absolutely pointless. It's not really about anything. And I will say, even though 2 episodes have dropped, I've only watched the first one because I was so bored after the first one. I couldn't be bothered to watch the second one. I'd already guessed the woman wasn't going to die, and lo and behold, I look at Twitter, she's not dead. Yeah, it's not say so far. What is it about, other than they've got a map to find Thrawn, and it's you know, will the rebels get there before the remnants of the Empire? Seems to be the what's going on. What happens next, what they're planning on doing. Obviously there's, again, because they're kind of assuming that you've watched Clone Wars or Rebels, or you've read the EU, that you even know who Thrawn is. They don't even really explain who he is or what's the consequences of if he comes back. You know, you're just supposed to know. Yeah, it's just, there's just no emoting. The dialogue's awful. The effects look okay. They're better than what we've been seeing coming out of Lucasfilm, really. I mean, obviously, because it's Filoni, it does have the kind of editing that you'd expect to see in Star Wars that Andor didn't have, and that was, I think, a bit of a complaint about that it didn't really feel like the Star Wars universe. But that's the only positive I can really say. It's just lots of wandering around, staring at each other. I think there's a scene with Ahsoka. I think it's like 6 or 7 minutes long, and she doesn't say anything. And she's supposed to be solving a puzzle to get this ball thing that's the map. And she just looks at stuff and looks at the ceiling and looks at stuff. There's no dialogue. Because normally you'd have someone talking to themselves, trying to figure it out, explain what these things are. There's none of that. She just kind of looks at something, looks exactly like the Fifth Element, like a complete rip-off of the Fifth Element. She basically turns a dial like once, and oh, there's the thing. So either like the writers are just so like thick that they can't actually come up with any kind of dialogue to explain the workings out, what the puzzle is, why it's difficult, what is she trying to solve. So they're just too stupid to do that, too lazy, or both. So you're just kind of sitting there going, right, okay, well, now she's got the ball. You know, she's got access to the best minds of the rebellion, but she goes to her old Padawan, who's just another stroppy, don't tell me what to do, doesn't turn up to her own ceremony, thinks it's hilarious. I'll just be all moody out on my space deck out in the desert, that everybody seems to know where it is, and just got assassins turning up all the time, and whatever. It's just pointless. Yeah, so like I say, I haven't watched the second episode. I'm not planning on watching the second episode. If over time some miracle happens and it suddenly gets better, I might come back to it. But quite frankly, life is too short. And this just kind of lives up to all the Disney Star Wars tropes that they've been rolling out. You know, there's the only white men in it are get killed within the first couple of minutes if they're a good guy, or the ex-Empire are all white men and killed. Shocker. So what's the point? You know, you can see exactly what's going to happen before it happens. Even on the Empire side, you've got this Morgan. I guess it's like a spin on Morgana from Merlin, because she's meant to be a witch or something. I don't know. Is a bad guy, supposedly. So even on the dark side, you just got girl boss, evil boss, and then girl boss, good boss, whatever. They're just such one-dimensional characters. There's no, like I say, there's no emoting. Everybody just looks dead-eyed at each other. They're looking pained. You know, it's just one face for every emotion. So anyway, feel free to watch it. Let me know what you think. I want to say I was bitterly disappointed, but you're not even disappointed anymore. It just kind of, you know, fulfills your expectations of how bad it's going to be. But my biggest complaint is it was just bloody boring. I've seen a few people going, "Oh, there was action. There was lightsaber fights, and there was a girl on a bike, and it was." But action without any kind of purpose or driving the story forward is just as boring as like no action. It did have more action than Andor, but like I say, the lightsaber fights were diabolical. It was just, yeah, not for me. Which obviously leads on to, the Disney stock prices have plummeted this week after this has come out. Again, everything's the next thing that's going to save Disney. Their stock prices, I think, were now the lowest since 2014, I believe. Looking at Google, so not a stocks and shares expert, as you might have gathered. So that may be wrong. So I do apologise, but but yeah, I think it went down to like, was it £82 or $82? Shareholders are not happy. They are in proper crisis, but all we're hearing is that they're still doubling down on crap. So I really don't know what it's going to take at this point for them to change anything or be any different. I really don't think they're going to be, but until they go belly up or they sell off Lucas, Marvel, etc., and just go back to what they used to make, just core cartoons, animations at the end of the day. But they've lost so much of their audience. They've told so many of their audience to go away because nothing's made for them anymore. Too bad. And it's kind of good, really, that Iger's back. He started all this problem. Now he's got to deal with it. So, yeah, well done, Disney. Top job. K-dramas, of course. You can't come to this channel and not expect me to talk about some K-dramas. Excuse me. Dropped on Netflix a couple of weeks ago now. Mask Girl. It's a story about a young girl who, at a very young age, you sort of see a home video of maybe at 4, 5 years old, singing and dancing in like a contest. And growing up, all she wanted to be was like a singer and famous and those kind of things, normal kind of aspirations of a young person. However, though, once she grows up and from basically her teenage years onwards, it's pretty obvious that she's just not that pretty. And as I talked about these K-dramas in Korea, it's there's still very much like a class system, and status is very important. And really, the worst things you can be in Korea is poor, fat, and ugly. Now, the girl is not fat. She has a cracking figure, I will say. But yes, she's just really very, very plain. So she realizes that obviously she can't live out her dreams, not without plastic surgery. And it's really her story and it really doesn't go where you think it's going to go. I really enjoyed this show. Even the ending, I was like, well, I was not expecting that ending. But you will find, as I've said with Korean dramas, they don't necessarily have happy endings, or they're kind of bittersweet endings that somebody might get what they want, but that somebody else doesn't. They're never quite they're not, they're kind of formulaic up to a point. That if you watch a certain genre, like they're rom-com dramas, they're kind of formulaic, that you kind of know, a bit like UK rom-coms, they probably won't get on, they fall in love, there's a misunderstanding, and kind of eventually they get together. But within that, there's normally another storyline running, or something interesting happening, or something else that's just a bit different that makes it enjoyable. And you want to watch every week, because these all drop weekly, I think mainly in Korea, except for the Netflix ones. So anyway, yeah, this Mask Girl one, basically is like the story of her life up to, and it's a series of events, and some terrible things happen to her. And she ends up in prison, and then the story kind of switches to her daughter and what happens with her daughter. Yeah, it was really interesting, very different. And I said that the thing I really liked is that the end just wasn't what I was expecting at all, but a good ending. Really enjoyed it. They're just so much better at character writing, and within the first episodes of these shows, you pretty much know who the characters are. You understand their personality, you understand their drivers, what their world is like, who they interact with, all of that, like within the first episode. So you pretty much have bought in episode 1. And if you're not quite there episode 1, you definitely will be episode 2, which seems to be something that completely escapes Western writers right now. You can get, if it's an Amazon, a Netflix 10 episode, or even Disney 10 episode series, by episode 5 or 6, you're still like, well, I don't know any more about this character than I did in episode 1, and there's only 4 episodes left. What the hell's, there's no real story. It's just about stuff. And this is why I love my Korean dramas so much. It is dubbed, if you're not a subtitle person. It is dubbed on Netflix, but I really highly recommend this one. It's kind of a bit of a whodunit and crime, and it's been quite a bit of social commentary on Korea and how looks are so important, how looking a certain way, being a certain way, what doors that opens up for you. So I found it really, really compelling, and I highly recommend Moscow. Now, My Hollow Love is the rom-com K-drama. This is a bit older. It has actually been out for a while, and I'd seen it in a number of top 10 lists as I had Crash Landing on You. And having watched that, I thought, actually, I'll give this a go. And again, really enjoyed it. Again, it is much more of a romantic one. So if you're not really into that kind of Korean drama, but you probably won't enjoy this. But if you watch Crash Landing on You and you like that, you will like this as well. This one is about, it starts with like the launch of a holographic AI. And it's like special glasses, a special type of glass where you can see the AI and you can interact with the AI. And the AI is called Hollow. And very much in sort of first episode, someone's trying to steal these prototype glasses. So the hologram helps the woman that's got the glasses, basically puts them in another girl's bag, so the bad guys can't get them. So she ends up with these glasses, and then but she finds them and then she puts them on, and she meets Hollow, and of course she completely freaks out because she doesn't know what it is. And then over time, she then ends up kind of being, for various reasons, but they make sense reasons, but I don't want to spoil it for you. She then kind of ends up beta testing Hollow, and she falls in love with Hollow basically because she's a very lonely girl. She has face blindness, which started when she was a kid. And again, there's this kind of sort of subplot, and this is why I like these. It's not just about the romance. There's this whole kind of subplot of that we know that something happened to her when she was a kid, so now she's got face blindness. And we kind of see these flashbacks. And the creator of Hollow, who designed the AI, his mother worked in that field, and she killed herself. She deleted herself, or that's what he's grown up believing. And Hollow's kind of built on the AI that she originally created. He was called Hello, now he's Hollow. But obviously Hollow looks he's basically designed him to look like him. So you've got the real person. And when he was a kid, the reason his mum created the AI is they don't say it, but you kind of get he's like on the autistic scale. He can't really interact. At one point, he wasn't even talking, so she created this machine so he could communicate. And he's very, very withdrawn. He doesn't really have social skills. He's not good with people. So Hollow's kind of the opposite of his creator, kind of everything that he wants to be. And because of the loss of his mother, and she was a single mother, he very much, being autistic anyway, but he kind of completely shut down, and he can't form relationships. He doesn't let people in. He doesn't know how to love, all that kind of thing. So Hollow's like the opposite to him. And through this, basically, she ends up meeting him. And initially, she doesn't realize, because of her face blindness, she doesn't get that he's not the hologram. It's not easy for her to spot. And then over the course of the episodes, we find out how she ended up with face blindness. We find out what happened to his mother. And then what happens to Hollow, this AI, because he ends up hacking into like the national grid and shutting down the power to save her. And obviously the authorities. And then there's this whole other corporation that's trying to steal Hollow, as they're going to basically go bankrupt if they come out before them. So again, I really enjoy these dramas. Again, they're on like 2 levels. It's not just about her falling in love with someone. There's all this other kind of subplot thing going on. And it's very, very entertaining. This one is in Korean only. It is subtitles only, so you will need to read, I'm afraid. But, oh, was it dubbed? Actually, I might be like, no, I'm lying. It was dubbed. It was dubbed. So I watched some in Korean and some not. I'm pretty sure it was dubbed. I can't remember. I don't know. That's how much I enjoyed it, though. So that's a good sign, right? I was just so into it. I think it was dubbed, though. Yeah, it was dubbed. So, yeah, 2 recommendations. Go check them out. I've just started The Devil's Judge, which is, again, obviously, hence in the Korean section. A bit of a dystopian, sort of near future, how the justice system is kind of being changed. Because, again, when you watch a lot of these Korean dramas, there's always like a real element of corruption in the political and police, and how, again, if you're wealthy in Korea, you can pretty much buy yourself out of anything. A bit like a few other countries we could mention. So this is all about the legal system has got corrupted. There's now these kind of super judges, if you like, and they're going to try and do it so there's like a live show to put people on trial, but the audience kind of gets to vote on whether they're innocent or guilty, and then this judge has the power to sentence them to whatever. So this one is definitely subtitles. I've only sort of watched the first episode so far because I haven't had time to sit down and watch it, but I'm going to try and be watching that this week. And I will let you know next week what I think about that. That's on Netflix, so it's all there if you want to jump ahead and discuss it with me next time. Fab. So check out Marscale on Netflix and My Hollow Love also on Netflix. Netflix is the home of K-drama, after all. Moving along. Oh, God. Yeah, a bit late to the party on this one, guys. I'd say finally, I'd obviously been on the fence about whether to go see this film or not. I can't say it was on my top 10 list of things to do, but my friend wanted to go see it and she was staying with me at the weekend. So we went yesterday to go see Barbie. What can I say? It was okay. It was, I mean, she was really up for going to see this film. She's very like, girl power. And she was so disappointed in this film. I was like, it's okay. It was watchable. It's fine. But I wouldn't bother watching it again. I don't know what the hoo-ha about this film is. I think kudos to the marketing department, who definitely should get a bonus in getting people to go out and watch this film. I mean, it's like I say, it was fine. It was middling. I don't seeing some of the real, people really losing their crap over this film and how it hates men. I didn't really have that as a takeaway. I have to say, there's a handful of comments in there where you just want to roll your eyes. The sort of lead woman in it has this vile teenage daughter who's just an obnoxious girl boss as usual. Who's just really mean and nasty. And she comes out with like, men hate women and women hate women. That's just how the world is. And you're just like, really? Okay. And lots of crass comments like that. But, overall, I agree with what most people say, that Ryan Gosling is the best thing in this film. He is brilliant as Ken. And it's kind of sad, all he wants to do is look after Barbie, because he's like, it's Barbie and Ken. What is Ken without Barbie? What is, because it's obviously kind of the Barbie world's flipped. So all the women are Barbies, obviously, and they're all amazing Barbies. So Margot is just stereotypical Barbie, like the original Barbie from the 50s. So she's very pretty, very slim. But then you've got, Dr. Barbies, lawyer Barbies, astronaut Barbies, Nobel Peace Prize winner Barbies, and they're all there. So all the imports are the presidents are Barbie, Supreme Courts are Barbies, and Kens are just Kens, and Kens they beach. Because it's never really been written what Ken does other than be Barbie's boyfriend, right? So he's just there to love Barbie, make sure Barbie's happy. That's all he wants to do. And if Barbie acknowledges him or smiles at him, that makes his day. And to be fair, she's a bit of a cow to Ken. She's like, she doesn't reciprocate how Ken feels. She just kind of takes him for granted, and she's just like, yeah, whatever, Ken. And you know, it is obviously a purposeful like role reversal that she has the power in the relationship and all this kind of thing. And as everybody knows, they end up having to go to the real world because Barbie starts getting cellulite, and she has, because men won't know this, but Barbie dolls, their feet are always like put like on tiptoe. So even when you take the shoes off, their feet are still designed to be like tiptoed. So her feet become flat, become like ours, and this is like absolute travesty because it really hurts to wear high heels because feet aren't designed that way. So she decides that she has to go to the real world and find out what's going on. This is where she finds the mum to the world's most precociously vile daughter. And basically, her mum was drawing pictures because she works at Mattel. Of like, I can't remember, but it was like cellulite Barbie and like depressed morose Barbie and something else Barbie. But obviously Ken comes to the real world with her. He discovers the patriarchy. He takes the patriarchy back to Barbie land, and everybody's really happy until Barbie comes back and then gets rid of. But then they kind of had this bit where they kind of realize it shouldn't go back to how it was before. But they kind of put it back to how it was before, so all the women in charge. But they need to sort of respect Ken a bit more and give him a little bit of a chance, or give him a little bit of he can do something else other than beach. So it's all about, over time. Well, the character says, I think the president says, it's all about equality, which I do agree with. It should be about equality, not the kind of, equality on the bits we want to have equality with, but not the other bits, Yeah, so it was there. It was like, yeah, okay. The end was just bizarre, like I say, but Barbie, spoilers. Barbie decides she wants to be a real girl. She goes to the real world, and it ends with her going to the gynecologist. So her big thing is she's now got a VJ. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, people. But Ryan Gosling is brilliant in it. His portrayal of Ken is amazing. And when he comes up with the Case of Dojo Mojo house and it's all got like bloke stuff in it, and it's all blokey, and they're all blokes and stuff. It's very, very funny. But it is decidedly average. It is a really average, okay film. Like I say, I wouldn't bother watching it again. It was fine, but yeah, I don't understand why people have got so worked up about it. Either sides of the spectrum. It was just, I think people just read into it what they want to read into it. But but Ken enough. Best thing about the film. So feel free to go check it out. I would say I'd probably wait till it comes on streaming. I really wouldn't bother a trip to the cinema. But yeah, and the worst thing was the whole way through this film, there was some people sitting behind us, and there was this person who just, and I want to say sniff, but when they literally like they're going to hock a Glooby or something, all the way through this bloody film. And by the end of it, it wasn't just me and my friend. All the people sitting around us were just on the verge of like lobbing a packet of tissues at them and screaming at them and blow their nose. It's the most disgusting noise I've ever heard in my life. And it was just like, once you tune into it, you couldn't tune out. And that did kind of really start grating on us trying to watch this film. So that might have had some impact on the level of enjoyment. But yeah, but feel free to go check out Barbie. I think if you do, you need to just go see it for Ken. That's probably not what the takeaway was, but that's what I reckon. For what it's worth. Cool. And last but not least, the Rebel Moon trailer dropped. So people may or may not know that originally this was a pitch that Zack Snyder wrote for Star Wars trilogy, couple of films. Story. They rejected it. They didn't want it. So he's like, fine, I'll repurpose it and make it myself. Fair play. Now, I have to say, I quite enjoyed the trailer. It looked quite good. The effects look good. You know, again, we've got so used to Marvel piss poor CGI. This actually generally looked quite good. Like quite a nice variety of aliens, all done quite well. Some of it did look a bit overblown in a kind of Zack Snyder kind of way. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, obviously, what you really can't grasp from the trailers is, you know, the story, the detailed story. I mean, you know, and how these characters are going to come across. It does appear that, again, we've got a woman who's the key to everything. So that could be a bit cringe. And to be fair, that storyline is becoming really outdated now. But you could see that if it was originally written for Star Wars, that I imagine she was going to be some sort of a Rey type character, or sorry, that's probably pretty disrespectful to this character, but you know what I mean, some sort of lost Jedi or something like that. But overall, it looks quite promising. It's coming out in December. I think looking at some of the other reactions on YouTube, I think people seem to be quite pleasantly surprised by what we saw in the trailer. Yeah, so part 1's out in December, part 2's out in April. And I guess like anything, you know, we're just going to have to wait and see. The thing is that Zack Snyder, for me, he's very hit and miss. I'm a big Justice League fan. His version, Sucker Punch, less said about that, the better. Saying that, it's a visually stunning film, Sucker Punch. It looks beautiful. Film itself is total shit. It is just absolutely, what the F is going on in this film? It's what, yeah. Again, I watched that and thought, wow, that's 3 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. Yeah, so his films can be really, really hit and miss. You know, he's been away. He seems to be kind of been left to his own devices a bit by Netflix. So hopefully he can just realize the vision that he wants, and it's different enough to Star Wars because he's obviously repurposed it. It could work really well. I mean, we need new IPs, we need new ideas, and like I say, if he's made it different enough, it could be successful. And if it's good, I mean, it's almost if Netflix have got any announcements about them, they'll put it on at the cinema as well. Given that there's not really anything going to be coming out for the rest of the year at this rate, which leads me into my last. Gutted. Anybody saw my Twitter, or X as it's now called? I used to get the habit calling it X. The one film I was looking forward to this year that I really wanted to go see, been pushed to March next year because of the ongoing writers, acting strikes, mainly because the actors are not allowed to promote anything, even though it's finished. Personally, I'm a bit like, I don't think that's a bad thing. As I've said before on this channel, a lot of actors open their mouth, say a load of stupid things like Rebecca Ferguson did in the first film. The Frank Herbert didn't go far enough because clearly she hadn't even finished the first book or read any of the others. So she just looked like a twat. Yeah, so absolutely gutted. This has been pushed. I mean, I think it just doesn't bode well that it looks like the strike's going to end anytime soon. I guess if they do come to some sort of terms or agreement, it could be brought forward again. But so it's back to my point that really, you know, Netflix could quite easily push some of their stuff out into the theaters, make a bit of extra money. If it's good, we don't know. But given the visual effects and the kind of look of Rebel Moon, it's probably the type of film that you would want to see on a big screen. But I guess we need to wait for a couple more trailers. But, you know, there's literally not going to be anything else on in the theatres. I think all theatres can do is show, you know, re-release stuff. I mean, you have got various anniversaries of films coming up that they could, you know, put them back in the theatre. But, yeah, it's going to look pretty barren. And if I was the theatres, I'd be pretty peeved. You know, they're just getting back on their feet after lockdowns, etc. Obviously, some chains have gone under as a result. I think Simworld's in administration. You know, they all this. Hollywood is just imploding right now, self-destructing. That was the word I was looking for. There isn't going to be an industry left by the time they've finished arguing around points that really don't matter, or asking just for ridiculous things. One of the biggest problems we have is there's too many writers in the writers' room. That's why there's no cohesion. That's why the stories don't make sense. You know, you have one showrunner, and that showrunner gets to pick what writers they want to work with. End of. Nobody should be mandating, you know, minimum of 12 writers in a room. It's absolutely ridiculous. They just know that the streaming wars or the streaming bubbles burst. There isn't going to be as much content or demand for content because people are realizing quality over quantity. And these mediocre writers are not going to have jobs. So they're trying to mandate it that they get to sit in a writer's room churning out crap. And if on what planet is that going to fly? I mean, bottom line is it's taken a long time for Hollywood to realize it, but it's finally getting to that crunch point where it's like, shit, we're here to make money, not preach at people, and we need to make some money, and these people ain't going to cut it. So we'll see. Like I say, we're way past the 100-day mark that the 2008 strike got to. So part of me is like, you know, I just want it sorted. So, I mean, there's a point where this stuff's just going to have to come out regardless. They can't not have movies in theatres. Like I say, I think it's quite a good thing that some of these divs aren't promoting their films, and they're probably doing better for it. I mean, look at Barbie and Oppenheimer had no promotion because it all kind of kicked off at the premieres, the time-wise, that obviously the actors got up and walked out the premiere of Oppenheimer. So, and they seem to be doing just fine. Like if people want to go see a film, they will go see a film. And something like Dune, I think either you're switched into that type of film or you're not. It's never going to really be a normies film, I don't think. I may be wrong. So I think, you know, the people that saw Dune 1 will go see Dune 2. And the chunk of people that saw it, because it was on same day release on Max, those people watched it on Max. If they enjoyed it, they will go to the cinema. So you'll get your uplift of the 60 million they left on the table the first time round. And maybe a handful of normies or have seen it since it's come onto stream and go, oh, I quite like the first one, I might go see the second one. But I think a lot of promotion, you aren't going to get the uplift or any greater uplift than if they just released it, in my opinion. It's not that type of film. But that's just me wanting the film to bloom and come out. But I do think it's just, you know, it's either your type of film or it's not. It is a very, you know, cerebral, classic sci-fi series of books that will not appeal to probably most normies. But we will see. We will see. So hopefully that will be out in at least March. Maybe they'll bring it forward again if things end. Who knows? Like I say, Hollywood is just burning, and apart from one or two films, none of us care. And I think that's been the biggest wake-up call for Hollywood and this strike, that people really don't care. They're not bothered. They're not clamoring to get these guys back in the writer's room and finishing off their 23-part seasons that we used to have. Everybody's just like, oh, boo-hoo. Go back to your mansion and go burn some money on the fire or whatever. So anyway, guys, that's it. A quick bit of brunch on this bank holiday. I hope the sun's shining where you are. It's just about hanging in there here at the moment. It has just been a washout, wet, crap summer here in the UK. We had a fantastic June. We've had nothing but rain since. And the last week, we've had a sort of mix of the two. I think September's supposed to be nicer than August. Time will tell. But I'm going to go out, try and grab a bit of that sunshine, go touch some grass. Because, you know, as much as we're geeks, always important to touch some grass. So have a fantastic week. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what I've got on next weekend. I can't. I think I should be back with a Sunday lunch next week. If not, I will come up with something for you. As always, please do like, share, and subscribe. About 40% of you who watch aren't subscribing yet, so do press that button. And as always, do leave me some comments about the shows, the films I've talked about, if there's stuff you want me to review, or just things you think I should be watching. I will check them out and review them and let you know. So have a great week, and I'll see you soon.